Okay, so here we are on step 3, where we're learning to diagram short arguments. And we've jumped right in with example 2. If you remember, the first example of our 10 that we're working our way through was not an argument, so we're not going to worry about diagramming that. And what I've done is I've opened up iLogos here, and I have created a box, and I've just copied the entire example into that box so that I can work with it here. It's just easier than having two documents open at once, especially for shorter arguments. Now, the first thing I'm going to do with iLogos is I'm going to just widen my canvas a little bit over here by making the number of pages 2 by 1. That means there'll be 2 pages across. And in fact, I think I'm going to go ahead and 2 pages down, just to give me a little bit more space, if you see when I scroll down, to work in iLogos. I may not need it for this short argument, but it's nice at least to have this whole space to work with. Now, the first thing that we do is step 2. We figure out what the conclusion is. Now, we already know that for this one because we've done step 2. I'm going to create a box. I just clicked on that toolbox there, and then I can create a box. It'll just be automatically sized, and I'm going to copy in. By double-clicking inside, the little text box will show up. I'm just going to copy in the claim that we determined in step 2 was the conclusion. And then once it's in, I can click outside of the box and then click it again. Those 2 little boxes appear and I can change the shape. I'm going to take those quotation marks off. And I'm also going to give this a number. That's something that is going to help in later steps. So that's the conclusion. I'm going to move my canvas down here in case I need it. I'm going to go ahead and move this box over here at the top because I know that's going to be my conclusion. And now there's a variety of ways to do it, so I'm just going to show you the way I like to do it. I like to just create a bunch of boxes and start putting claims in. Claims that I know the author is using. I may not know exactly where they're going to go yet, but just having them in these boxes makes it easier for me to move them around. Now, while I'm articulating these different premises, I might stumble across a subargument and I might say, oh, while I'm here, let me put this subargument together. But it often helps just to get all the premises that you think the author is using out. So I don't know how many there are, so I just put out like 7 boxes, and let's start working through the argument and finding. The person's coat is slightly damp. That's one claim. Another claim, and I'm going to number these. It doesn't really matter the order, so the numbering isn't too relevant, but we do want each claim to have a number, and that again gets very important in step 5 and onward. What's another claim that this author is using? The person has been in heavy rain in the last few hours. You know what? I already see a relationship. This claim is giving evidence for this claim. This claim number 2 is reason to believe claim number 3. So I'm going to move this one. I have to click outside of it, and then I'm going to move that over here, and then I'm going to move this one over here. I'm going to draw an arrow going from this one to this one. This is all very preliminary. I may change that later, but I'm just going to put it over there because I figured out that 2 gives evidence to 3. All right, let's keep looking for some more premises. There has been no rain in London in that time. You know, I don't always do it this way, but it's often easiest just to go through the argument, starting from the beginning, going to the end, looking for claims. The structure of the argument won't always follow the structure, the chronology, or the order of the claims that are being used. Again, right now, I am just trying to get all the claims out there. So there's been no rain in London in that time. Great. There is dampness under her coat collar. I'm rephrasing just slightly. I didn't quite like the phrasing under her coat collar is damp too. It's technically a claim, but I wanted to make it a little clearer, so I changed it. The person has turned the coat collar up against the wind. Notice what I did there. I changed the it to coat collar. You want to be very aware of not using any pronouns because they can get confusing once you've isolated the claims. Look at this though. I've already noticed a relationship of evidence here. The fact that they're, oops, you know what? I forgot to number all these. Let me go back. Let me go back and number all of these. That's 4. That's 5. That's 6. Okay, and I've noticed that 5, the fact that there's dampness under her coat collar, is intended to give evidence for 6. So I'm just going to put that over there. With an arrow. All right. Let's keep going. And I can already tell I'm going to need more of these boxes. So let me just make a few more. All right. There is an umbrella in her left hand pocket. Let's not forget to number these. 8. The umbrella is dry and unused. 9. Oh, there's a typo in there. That should be say not just wind. The wind was too strong to use her umbrella. I already see some evidence here. The fact that there's an umbrella and that it's dry and unused is indicating that the wind was too strong. 7 and 8 are being used as evidence for 9. So I'm going to put 9 over here. I'm going to put 7 and 8 over here. And that's interesting. I'm trying to figure out whether 7 and 8 are dependent or independent. You know, I'm not even sure that 7, now that I look at it, is really being used as a premise. It's more that I can combine 7 and 8 to say the umbrella in her left pocket is dry and unused. That would be in her left hand pocket is dry and unused. That would be a little clearer. So I'm just going to delete that one and show that this one is meant to give evidence for this one. Okay, and I'm going to go back here. Look at this next sentence. We know from her suitcase that she was intending to stay overnight. Notice I've deleted premise number 7. I don't have to go back and renumber all of them. It's fine that 7 is missing. I'm just going to keep going with the ordering and put this number 10. She was intending to stay overnight. The hesitating little is, we know from her suitcase that she was intending to stay overnight. I'm trying to figure out, I think this is because this is an excerpt. We don't know exactly what the claim is about her suitcase. So I'm going to make a little bit of a guess here and say something like, because there's some evidence working there. I just think it's omitted from this excerpt, from something like she had a small suitcase or something like that. And it would be fine to just omit that and say it's not included in this particular excerpt, but there's that one sentence clearly has relationship of evidence, so I'm going to take a little poetic license and do that. And again, I notice a relationship of evidence. And I don't know how all of these arguments are going to relate to each other, but I do know that this is intended to go that. Lots of more premises to go. Okay, so she's intending to stay overnight. We've got that. Now let's keep going with that one sentence. Notice we're still in one sentence. We already have 2 claims, and we're going to have at least one more. She must have come a decent distance, and she must have come not more than 2 or 3 hours, and her coat still hasn't dried. Lots of relationships here. So I know that 14 is intended to give evidence of 13, so I'm going to put that over here. And she must have come a decent distance is being intended to give evidence for she must not have come more 2-3 hours. But it's combined with 14. It's working with 14. I'm going to stop and think about that. Let me look at the sentence again. We know from her suitcase that she was intending to stay overnight. So she must have come a decent distance. Oh, I see. This, when I look back, so she is giving evidence. I choose an arrow to this. She was intending to stay overnight, therefore she must have come a decent distance. And then her coat hasn't dried, so she must not have come more than 2 or 3 hours. That's good. All right, look how many claims we got just out of that one sentence. We're already up to 14, although we skipped number 7, but we're up to about 14 claims that are being used. Look at the last 2 sentences and we're almost done. So where has there been heavy rain and strong wind within the radius of that travel time? Cardiff. Cardiff is the only place within 2 or 3 hours that has had heavy rain and strong wind. And I know that that's going to be one of the premises closest to the conclusion. So I'm going to do this. This is going to give evidence to that.